Welcome back to Girl Talk. If you stick with us a little bit later in the show, we'll be talking about custom-made jewelry right here at William Thomas Designs. They're on University Avenue. Right now, though, we're talking financial fitness. And this is Sue Peck. She's the founder and president of Evolution Financial, LLC. Thanks for coming to Girl Talk again.
Thank you for having me.
We are always learning from you. So right now, I feel like I keep hearing that more and more people in the middle class are having trouble making ends meet. I'm wondering if that's true and what you think the state is of the middle class.
Right, absolutely. When it comes to the middle class, I think it's also kind of a historical look at the stock market. People don't look at the stock market as a place where they can participate unless they have a ton of money. So in a Money Magazine article at the end of 2017, it stated that 27% of the middle class has $10,000 or more in the stock market. And while $10,000 is it's an okay sum of money, we have to remember that that age range is like from 20 to 100, and $10,000 isn't much to retire on. So we got to do better, middle class. We got to get in there. So I think people need to understand that you can actually get into the stock market. You can do $50 and open an account and get yourself started.
And when we say stock market, it doesn't have to be an individual stock. It includes all the index funds, which are mixes and
Absolutely. There are definitely easier ways that you can get into it without having to do all the super research on individual stocks.
Especially these days, too.
And so I'm just curious, on average, how much are people saving for their future? And I think people are curious about that because you want to know what is the average, or what are people doing?
Right. So there was a NerdWallet article that came out that said the average is around 3.8% that people are saving.
Okay.
And I recently heard that a Fidelity article came out that said millennials are actually saving 7.5%.
Oh
my gosh.
Good on the millennials. That's awesome. It's still not enough.
Is that because they're still living at home, though?
I think they're more aware of the situation. Excuse me, the situation at hand, and the fact that they need to save something for retirement. So people need to know that they need to save like 10 to 15% of their income in order to actually get the retirement they're looking for, depending on the kind of retirement that you are looking for.
And I really like the following question, because I really think it's really important. What is an emergency fund, and what amount should we save, or what is the investment we should put into the emergency fund?
Right. An emergency fund is just that. It's in case of an emergency, right? Your furnace goes out, you have car problems, you lose your job. So it's a good idea to have 3 to 6 months of essential spending. That's your food, that's your rent or your mortgage, that's your heat. That's to make sure that you can keep going should anything happen. And once you get that, then it's a good idea to get a goal of like 6 to 12 months. But let's start with something that seems doable and get 3 to 6 months.
3 to 6 months. I feel like that's a really retainable time.
And those examples you gave, I've had all 3 of those happen to me.
Right. Those are common things.
Those are real things, absolutely. So when we're retired, how much should we have saved? And I don't even know if you can answer that.
Right. It does depend kind of on the retirement that you're looking for, right? If you have a huge pay rate right now and you're actually looking for really simple retirement, that kind of changes things. But kind of rule of thumb is between 9 and 11 times what your ending salary is.
Writing that down.
Right.
9 to what?
9 to 11.
Okay.
But now with healthcare going the way it is, it's kind of a good idea to have 15 to 16 times your ending salary, because healthcare is so expensive. And people forget that it's sitting out there as a huge expense when you retire.
It is. It's creeping up so much every year, I've noticed, for sure.
And I'm curious if people are listening and wondering is it too late for them? I'm sure people are wondering that. Do you get that question often, and how do you answer something like that?
Right, so I recently had some clients come in and they told me a story of a relative of theirs who had nothing, and she was 50. Okay. And she decided at that point she was just going to do it, right? She's going to figure out how to retire, and she worked hard. She really put a lot of effort into it. And she ended up retiring at 63.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's not easy at all, but it's doable if you really put your mind to it and you have the means to be able to put some money away.
And when you have someone like you that can help answer questions and guide and be a mentor in that process.
I would love to help.
And you're such a great coach. I mean, I learn every time you come on the show, I learn something new.
Thank you.
So that person figured it out. Well, maybe Sue can help you figure it out too. Sue, thanks so much for coming on. I'm afraid we're out of time. We need much more time with Sue. Maybe you do too. Sue's with Evolution Financial. We're with Girl Talk, and we'll be right back.